The Unplugged Alpha, by Richard Cooper. Introduction. Imagine this. You're driving down the highway. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the road. But you don't notice the beauty. All you feel is a cold, heavy weight in your chest. Your business, the one you poured your soul into, is on the verge of collapse. The woman you thought was your soulmate has left your heart in pieces. Your entire world, the one you thought was safe and predictable, has shattered around you. You look at the concrete pillar of an overpass coming up, and a dark thought flashes through your mind. If I just slam into that, it'll all be over quickly. This was the rock-bottom moment for Richard Cooper. It was the culmination of years of playing by rules he didn't understand, in a game that felt rigged against him. He was living in what he calls the blue pill world, a world of comforting lies, where being a good, virtuous person is supposed to guarantee a happy life. But his reality was a brutal awakening. What followed was a journey out of that darkness. A journey of unplugging from the nice-sounding narratives society feeds us, and plugging into the cold, hard truths of how the world actually works, especially between men and women. The map he created on that journey became the book we're exploring today, The Unplugged Alpha, the No Bullsh Guide to Winning with Women in Life. This isn't just another dating book. It's a raw, unfiltered operating manual for modern manhood, born from the ashes of painful experience. It has been called controversial, shocking, and for many men, life-saving. In fact, on his YouTube channel, which has garnered over 40 million views, men from all over the world have called him the father they never had. So, what is this secret knowledge? What are the uncomfortable truths that, once accepted, can transform a man's life from one of confusion and frustration to one of clarity and purpose? By the end of our time together today, you will understand the fundamental difference between the alpha men who seem to win effortlessly and the beta men who constantly struggle. You'll have a new lens through which to see the world, and you'll understand the game of life in a way that can save you years, or even decades, of pain. This is the playbook they don't teach you in school. So, let's begin. Book summary. To really understand the core message of the Unplugged Alpha, you have to first understand a simple but profound metaphor the author uses, taken straight from the movie The Matrix. In the film, the main character, Neo, is offered a choice between two pills. The blue pill lets him stay in a comfortable, simulated reality, a world of blissful ignorance. The red pill, on the other hand, will wake him up to the harsh, sometimes painful, truth of the real world. The author argues that most men today are living a blue pill life. They've been fed a steady diet of narratives their entire lives. Just be yourself. Treat a woman like a queen and she'll love you forever. Be a nice guy. These are the comforting lies. They sound good, they feel right, but they often lead to confusion, heartache, and disaster. Because, as the author discovered, the real world operates on a completely different set of rules. Taking the red pill means learning those rules. So, what is the first and most fundamental rule of this new reality? It's what the author calls the female primary social order. This is the idea that society, deep down, is structured to protect and prioritize the feminine over the masculine. Think about the classic phrase from a sinking ship, women and children first. This isn't just a saying. It's a reflection of a deep biological and social truth. Men are often seen as the disposable sex. He points to a quote from Hillary Clinton, who once said, "Women have always been the primary victims of war. Women lose their husbands, their fathers, their sons in combat." Notice the framing. Men die, but women are the ones who are most affected. This isn't about blaming anyone, it's about understanding the environment you're operating in. Society doesn't value men and women in the same way. Women are seen as the protected sex, while men are expected to be the protectors, the providers, the disposable protectors. And until a man accepts this reality, he'll constantly be frustrated, wondering why the world doesn't seem fair. This underlying social order creates the dynamic that sits at the very heart of the book, the difference between an alpha and a beta. And the author has a brutally simple way to tell which one you're being perceived as. He says, women break their rules for alphas, and they make rules for betas. Let that sink in for a moment. Have you ever known a woman who tells one guy she has a 3-date rule before she'll get intimate, but then she meets another guy at a party and that rule magically disappears? That's the principle in action. The author tells a great story to illustrate this. He went on a date with a woman he met online. A few minutes into their drink, she proudly announces that after some bad experiences, she now has an 8-date rule before she sleeps with a man. Instead of being discouraged or agreeing to her terms, the author just chuckled and called it out for what it was: a game. He told her he doesn't negotiate desire. They bantered back and forth for a few minutes, and then, suddenly, her entire demeanor changed. She looked him dead in the eye, smirked, and said, "Okay, let's go fuck in the bathroom right now." In the span of 20 minutes, she went from enforcing her strict 8-date rule to offering sex in a bar bathroom. Why? Because in that moment, he passed her test. He demonstrated that he operated from his own frame, not hers. He wasn't a compliant beta willing to jump through hoops. He was an alpha. When a woman sees you as a beta, she'll make you wait. She'll make you pay for expensive dinners. She'll treat you like an emotional tampon, a handyman to fix her car, and a shoulder to cry on about the alpha males who aren't treating her right. But she will rarely, if ever, give you her most enthusiastic, passionate self. When she sees you as an alpha, all of that changes. She will enter your frame. She'll drive to you. She will make you breakfast. She will become a complement to your life, not the focus of it. She breaks her rules. This leads to a really dangerous process the author calls betatization by 1,000 concessions. This is what happens to so many men in long-term relationships and marriages. It's a slow, subtle erosion of a man's masculine core. It starts small. "Honey, can you put your socks in the right hamper?" Then it becomes, "Let's go vegan together." And years later, it ends with, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I want a divorce." The author paints a vivid picture you can see in any grocery store. The beaten-down husband with a dead look in his eyes, pushing a cart with 3 screaming kids, while his wife scowls at him for grabbing the wrong brand of diapers. This is the plow horse. He was probably the same confident, exciting guy she fell in love with years ago, her pet, as the author calls it. But over time, through 1,000 tiny compromises made to keep the peace, he gave up his frame, his power, and ultimately, her desire. He went from being the man she wanted, to the utility she needed. And women, the author states, do not stay in love with utilities. They divorce plow horses. So, the multi-million-dollar question is, how do you avoid this? How do you become the kind of man for whom women break their rules? The author makes it very clear, you cannot fake this. You can't just learn a few clever lines. It comes from building yourself, from the inside out, across 4 key pillars: looks, money, status, and game. Let's start with looks. The author is blunt, looks matter. Citing data from dating apps, he shows that women find roughly 80% of men unattractive based on their photos alone. But this isn't a cause for despair, it's a call to action. You can't change your height, but you can change almost everything else. Studies show that the most attractive physical trait for a man is upper body strength, specifically a shoulder-to-hip ratio of about 1.62, the classic V-taper. This is achievable for almost any man through proper diet and lifting weights. He says that looks maxing is dressed in overalls and looks like work, which is why most men avoid it. He also talks about style. Wearing clothes that actually fit your physique can dramatically change how you're perceived. And on the sensitive topic of hair loss, his advice is simple: surrender to it and own it. A man who shaves his head and builds a masculine physique, like a Dwayne Johnson or a Jason Statham, is far more attractive than a man desperately clinging to a few strands with a bad comb-over. Next is money. The author dispels the notion that money is evil. Money is simply a store of value, and it represents freedom and options. While it should never be your primary motivation for self-improvement, it is a powerful equalizer. He tells men to aim for what he calls "fuck you money," not to impress women, but to have the freedom to walk away from people, jobs, and situations that don't serve you. Women are naturally attracted to men with resources, not because they are all gold diggers, but because of an evolutionary drive to ensure the survival of their offspring. This drive is called hypergamy, the innate tendency for women to seek a partner of equal or higher socioeconomic status. Hypergamy is always on, constantly asking the question, "Is this the best I can do?" A man with money and ambition signals that he is a good bet for the future. This flows directly into the third pillar: status. Status is the social proof that you're a winner. It's not just about being famous. The author gives a simple example. When he goes to his favorite high-end sushi restaurant, the chef knows him by name and treats him like a VIP. When his girlfriend sees this, it subconsciously signals to her that she is with a man of status. It's about earning respect and admiration in your world, whatever that world may be. High-status men are so desirable that the author argues most women would rather share a high-value alpha than be saddled with a faithful loser. Finally, we have game. Game is the skill that ties it all together. It's confidently using your personality to win the affection of women. It's knowing what they respond to. But the author makes a critical distinction. Game without red pill awareness is like a Ferrari without an engine. You can learn all the pickup lines in the world, but if you don't understand the underlying dynamics of female nature and hypergamy, you'll eventually fail. Building yourself across these four pillars is how you generate what the author calls genuine burning desire. This is the single most important metric you should pay attention to in any interaction with a woman. You can't negotiate it, you can't buy it, and you can't trick a woman into feeling it. It has to be organic. To make this simple, he adapts a business tool called the Net Promoter Score. He says to rate a woman's interest in you on a scale of 1 to 10. A 9 or 10 is genuine burning desire. She'll show up on time. She'll text you first. She'll enthusiastically enter your world. It's as obvious as a frying pan to the forehead. A 7 or 8 is indifference. She'll frequently reschedule. Her texts will be slow. She's lukewarm. Anything from a 1 to 6 is a detractor. She doesn't like you. She'll ghost you. The key takeaway is to only invest your time, energy, and resources in the 9s and 10s. Trying to convince an indifferent woman to desire you is a fool's errand. Instead, you invest that energy back into yourself, into your looks, money, status, and game, which in turn makes you more attractive to more women, generating more 9s and 10s naturally. This leads to a crucial strategy for dating in the modern world: spinning plates. Imagine a circus performer keeping multiple plates spinning on top of sticks. He gives a little attention to each one as needed to keep it going. For a man, a plate is any woman you are dating non-monogamously. This isn't about being dishonest. It's about creating an abundance mindset. The biggest mistake men make, especially young men, is catching a debilitating case of what the author calls one-itis. This is the unhealthy obsession with one particular woman, believing she is the one, the soulmate. It comes from a scarcity mindset. When you're only talking to one woman, her validation becomes your entire world. If she rejects you, your world collapses. Spinning plates is the antidote. When you're dating multiple women, No single woman holds that much power over your emotional state. You become your own mental point of origin. It allows you to see the contrast between different women and make a much better choice if you eventually decide to settle down. And ironically, it makes you more attractive. A man with options is, by definition, a man of higher value. Your lack of neediness becomes a powerful aphrodisiac. While you're spinning plates, you need to be a masterful gatekeeper of your own life. This is where the author's concept of the 20 red flags comes in. These are warning signs that a woman is likely to bring chaos and destruction into your life. The book details 20 of them, but some of the most important ones include: daddy issues. If a woman doesn't have a good relationship with her father, she will likely not value a strong masculine man. If she didn't value her own father, why would she value you? Feminists. The author argues that modern third-wave feminism is not about equality, but about female dominance and male submission. A woman who subscribes to this ideology will see you as the enemy, not a partner. Big notch counts. Studies have shown that the more sexual partners a woman has had, the less likely she is to bond monogamously in a healthy, long-term relationship. And the biggest red flag of all, the one the author dedicates an entire chapter to: single mothers. He is uncompromising on this point. He argues that getting involved with a single mother means taking on 100% of the responsibility of a parent with 0% of the authority. You become a cuckold, raising another man's children, and you will never be her number one priority. He shares his own painful, multi-year experience as a cautionary tale. His advice for dealing with people who show these red flags, whether in dating, business, or friendship, is simple: hire slowly, but fire quickly. Take your time vetting people. Watch their actions, not just their words. And the moment your intuition tells you something is wrong, have the courage to cut them out of your life swiftly and decisively. This requires a tremendous amount of self-control. And this brings us to the inner game of the Unplugged Alpha. It's not just about interacting with the world, it's about mastering yourself. 2 chapters stand out here. First, manage your endocrine system. The author talks about the critical role of testosterone in a man's life. It governs everything from muscle mass and energy to mental clarity and drive. He notes that testosterone levels in men have been plummeting for decades, leading to a generation of weaker, softer men. He advises men to get their levels checked and to do everything possible to optimize them naturally, through lifting weights, proper nutrition, good sleep, and reducing stress. A man with optimal testosterone is a man operating at his peak. Second, and perhaps most memorably, manage the fucks you give. The author compares your daily energy to a life bar in a video game. You start each day with 100%, and every little thing you allow to bother you, the guy who cuts you off in traffic, the annoying coworker, drains that bar. Most people give their fucks away freely, on things that don't matter. The Unplugged Alpha is incredibly careful about where he allocates his energy. He conserves his fucks for things that are truly fuckworthy, things that move him closer to his goals and bring joy to his life. He learned this from a Hindu monk named Dandapani, who taught him about energy vampires, people who leave you feeling exhausted after every interaction. The key to managing your fucks is to master self-control and to ruthlessly cut these vampires out of your life. A simple way to build this self-control muscle? Do hard things. His recommendation: start taking cold showers. It builds discipline and willpower. As you build yourself into this man of purpose, you will inevitably have to confront the big questions. What about marriage? And what about the men who decide the game is too rigged and choose to walk away completely? On marriage, the author's message is a stark warning. He argues that in the modern Western world, marriage is a low-reward, high-risk proposition for men. Family law, he says, is designed to be hostile toward men. He tells the story of his own divorce, where his lawyer told him, "If you have the penis and you go to court, you are going to lose, and badly." He points out that women initiate roughly 80% of divorces, not because they are evil, but because the system incentivizes it. Divorce, he states, is statistically the #1 way women acquire wealth. The core message is this: the woman you marry is never the same woman you divorce. When the incentives of family law kick in, a woman's true colors are revealed. This leads some men to the MGTOW movement, men going their own way. These are men who have looked at the risks and decided to check out of the sexual marketplace entirely. While the author agrees with many of their grievances, he fundamentally disagrees with their solution. He sees it as a quitter's mindset. He says you can't truly check out of the female primary social order unless you live in a cabin in the woods. The solution isn't to quit the game, it's to learn the rules, minimize your risks, and master it. The journey of the Unplugged Alpha is not about hating women or becoming a bitter recluse. It's about letting go of comforting lies so you can live in reality. It's about taking radical responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, and your own success. It's about becoming a man of vision and purpose, a man so solid in his own frame that the right woman becomes a joyful complement to his life, rather than the chaotic center of it. It's a hard path, but as the author's own story shows, it's the path from the darkness of a highway overpass to a life of freedom and victory. Commentary. So, what do we take away from all of this? When you first encounter the ideas in the Unplugged Alpha, it can feel like a splash of ice-cold water. The author's tone is intentionally blunt, and his conclusions can be jarring, especially because they run counter to so much of what we're told is true. But beneath the raw language, there's a powerful and timeless message of self-reliance and personal sovereignty. The most profound lesson in this book, in my opinion, isn't about women at all. It's about where a man should place his focus. For centuries, stories and culture have told men that the ultimate prize is to get the girl. This book flips that script entirely. It argues that the ultimate prize is to build yourself into the best possible version of a man you can be. The attention and affection of a good woman is a wonderful byproduct of that journey, but it should never be the goal itself. When you make a woman the center of your universe, you lose your own center of gravity. You become needy. Your happiness becomes dependent on her approval. And that, paradoxically, is the fastest way to lose her respect and desire. By becoming your own mental point of origin, as the author puts it, you become a rock. You become the man that women want to be around, not because of what you do for them, but because of who you are. This is an incredibly empowering message, especially for a young man starting out. It frees you from the anxiety of seeking validation. Your mission is simple: chase excellence. Chase it in the gym, in your studies, in your future career. Build your body, build your mind, build your character, and build your bank account. The rest will follow. So, how can you start applying these ideas today, in a practical way? First, take the advice on managing the fucks you give to heart. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Starting today, be conscious of where you spend it. When you feel yourself getting angry about something trivial, a comment online, someone's opinion you disagree with, ask yourself, is this truly fuckworthy? Is spending my energy on this moving me closer to my goals? 99% of the time, the answer is no. Let it go. Conserve that energy for what matters. Second, adopt the principle of looks maxing. You don't need to become a professional bodybuilder, but you do need to take your physical presence seriously. Start a simple, consistent weightlifting program focused on compound movements like pull-ups, overhead presses, and rows. Clean up your diet. Get a haircut that suits you. Wear clothes that fit. The confidence that comes from looking in the mirror and being proud of the man you see is a foundation upon which everything else can be built. And third, embrace the idea that your life is a game you can win, but you have to learn the rules first. Stop taking advice from sources that haven't produced the results you want. Be skeptical of the comforting narratives. Instead, become a student of reality. Observe human nature. Watch what people do, not just what they say. This book is one perspective, a very direct one, but it encourages a mindset of critical thinking that will serve you in every area of your life. Ultimately, the Unplugged Alpha is a call to awaken the strong, masculine core that lies within every man. It's not about being aggressive or disrespectful. It's about being competent, confident, and in control of your own destiny. It's about understanding that the world doesn't owe you anything, but that you have the power to build a life of purpose and freedom, if you're willing to face the truth and do the work. That was a summary of the Unplugged Alpha by Richard Cooper. We've touched on the main currents of this powerful book today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only take you so far. The real impact happens when you read the book for yourself. It's in those quiet moments, when a particular story or a blunt phrase connects with your own experience in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a fire in you, or made you question the way you see things, then I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning information, it's an experience that can genuinely change the operating system you use to navigate your life. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new perspective, please do me a small favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.